Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for another episode of Ask the Expert, the Nutrition Edition. My name's Lisbeth Irish, and I'll be your host today. I'm a registered dietitian with the New York State Office for the Aging and the New York State Program Manager for Older Adults SNAP-Ed program. Today, we're going to be talking about how to add more vegetables to your diet and why. I have Maggie Hurd with me today and Nicole Burchard. Maggie is a registered dietitian with the Onondaga County region of NYSOFA SNAP-Ed program for older adults. And Nicole represents the Double Up Food Buck program for Field and Fork, a nonprofit organization that does really great work. And she'll be joining us later in the show. Welcome, Maggie and Nicole. Before Maggie and I talk about those vegetables, I want our viewers to know that they should put some questions in the chat, and we'll get to those questions later in the program. So Maggie, I'm going to dive right in and start asking you a few questions, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I think the first thing a lot of people think of is, well, how many servings of vegetables are we supposed to have every day?
Yeah, so the number of servings that we're supposed to have for vegetables in a day is 5 servings. So 2.5 cups is a serving size for most adults. It varies depending on age, sex, and physical activity, but 2.5 cups a day for adults and older adults is the recommendation. And so serving size is 1/2 cup, and that would be 5 servings of vegetables in a day.
Okay, so for cooked vegetables, it's 1/2 cup. How about for like something like, let me think of something, like some broccoli if it wasn't cooked. Was that the same amount, or?
You could shoot for a little bit more, but a good visual is using 1 cup's hand for a serving size guide.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a challenge, but doable. Is there another way to kind of visualize how many vegetables that you eat per day?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have the MyPlate recommendations, and the MyPlate recommendations say that you should be aiming for half your plate to be fruits and vegetables. In this guidance, there's a little bit more veggies than fruits, but this is a good recommendation to visualize how much should be on your plate.
Okay. So are you supposed to eat vegetables every meal?
It depends. Some people don't like veggies at certain times of the day. Veggies tend to be more savory, and it's more common to have sweet meals for breakfast per se. Some people don't like vegetables at breakfast. So you can eat them at every meal, yeah. But also making sure that you can get them in at snack times too, like having raw veggies with hummus or peanut butter. Even if you don't like the savory note at breakfast, you could always add 1/2 cup of spinach to a smoothie. It's not really detectable in terms of taste, but you can still get the nutrients and the benefits in that.
Okay. So what are some of the ways you like to use vegetables in your meals and snacks? I mean, just as a, everyday kind of thing. You mentioned a couple, but I bet you have more ideas.
Yeah, so one of my favorite go-tos is to just mix vegetables with a whole grain base. It's super easy. You can frequently just use 1 pot, and it's just a direct way. But when I meal prep, I've been doing a lot of orzo and veggies. So you could use pasta, you could use rice, you could use whatever you got, but mix in different vegetables that you like. My favorites are mushrooms and onions. You could throw broccoli in there, beets, greens, peppers, whatever strikes your fancy.
That's a great idea. I mean, today we're lucky we have a food truck here on the plaza because I work in Albany, the state capital. And they had a grain bowl that was half quinoa and half brown rice, and then a whole bunch of vegetables in there. They had a little chicken in there, but I've also had one of their bowls where they use black beans. So that's one of my new favorite things, is just kind of throwing it all in the bowl, kind of like you do.
Yeah. It's super easy, and you can get a lot of variety switching out the vegetables and grains.
Yeah, you can almost get all those different food groups in the one bowl. I mean,
Right.
I like fruit in my bowls too, you know. Some people like
Fruit
that.
in a salad. Sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what are 3 nutrition-related benefits of eating vegetables? Because we talked about how much, but why should you even eat them?
Sure. So the first one I'll talk about is nutrients. Vegetables have a variety of different minerals and vitamins, including potassium, fiber, vitamin A and C, as well as folate. The second I'll touch on is that fiber aspect. Fiber helps keep your GI tract regular and has a few other health benefits in there as well. And then lastly, I'll touch is on hydration, especially in hot summer months where we might not feel the need for thirst or don't always have water nearby. Vegetables can help us stay hydrated throughout the day.
Yeah, I also noticed that when I eat enough vegetables, I tend not to be overeating the other foods on my plate. Like I don't go back for seconds as often when I have enough vegetables to start with, you know.
The fiber helps with that too. The fiber helps keeping you feel full with lower calories.
Just kind of takes up some space in your stomach too, I think.
Absolutely.
I noticed that, well, I should notice, because that's a little personal, but I think it's a good idea to increase your vegetables slowly. I mean, fiber is great, but I notice sometimes when I've had people that I'm talking to about their diet, you can have some consequences of eating them too fast, right? Too many too fast.
Yes. Bloating, discomfort, constipation, all of that, little GI upset, but balance.
If you incorporate them slowly, usually you don't have that problem. It's been my experience from people I talk to. What are some good sources of vitamin C in the vegetable department? I know people know that oranges are great, but
Right. Yeah, everyone always thinks of oranges or strawberries when they hear vitamin C.
Yeah.
But any good sources of vitamin C in vegetables, there's going to be bell peppers, you've got tomatoes, fine cabbage, some leafy greens as well.
Yeah, even a baked potato or a sweet potato is, I wouldn't call it a great source, but they're a pretty okay source. Yeah.
Yep. Add some potassium in there too.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is taking a red pepper and cutting it into strips and you dipping that in hummus. That's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to say. Well, maybe it'll come back. So what are some of the ways that you can save money buying vegetables? Because I know people think it's very expensive, and it can be, but there are ways to get around spending a huge amount of money on vegetables, aren't there?
Sure. Yeah. Cost is a big concern for many. My first recommendation would be to buy what's in season.
Yes.
Shopping at farmers markets, looking at farm stands, things that are in season are going to be a little bit cheaper, as well as a bit more flavorful. If you take corn on the cob, for example, get a corn on the cob in December, it's going to taste very different than in July. But looking for vegetables and produce in season. If you can't find anything fresh in season, you can always look for canned goods or frozen goods. They are a good way to get the same amount of nutrition and taste, but just at a more accessible more accessible. And then lastly, you can always look for community programs. So we are in the full swing of the Seniors Farmers Market Nutrition Program. And so if you don't know too much about that, what it is, it's $5 coupons that are granted to eligible seniors. You have to be older than 60, and there's a few income guidelines. But if you meet those eligibility criteria, you're entitled to one of these coupon books once a season. And you can use those to buy fresh local produce. So fruits, vegetables, and it's no cost. It's free to eligible seniors.
Wow, that's a real help.
Yeah. And then I forgot one thing. There's one more I wanted to say. But I've noticed at a lot of the farmers markets, they have demonstrations. So SNAP-Ed is also doing a lot of the food demos for low-cost recipes. So keep your eye out for any recipe cards or SNAP-Ed resources. And a lot of the time you can buy the produce right on site, right at the farmers markets.
Yeah, I'm going to mention now. I usually mention this at the end of our program, but one of my colleagues, Wendy Buckman, she works at the New York State Office for the Aging. She has many food demos that she's done on our NYSOFA YouTube channel. They're archived there. We release a new one every month. In fact, we're going to release one, I believe it's the last Friday in August. I don't have a calendar right in front of me, but that's usually at 12:30 on that day. If you just check in on our Facebook Live page, we release it there, and that's archived in YouTube. But she has a lot of SNAP-Ed recipes that are beautifully demonstrated too.
Yeah, that's an awesome resource.
Yeah. Let's see. Have you ever had a vegetable that you didn't like when you were younger and now you like it?
Yes. The first thing that comes to mind is Brussels sprouts. I distinctly remember not liking the bitter taste.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I found out that I liked it through just exposure and trying them different ways. So my favorite way currently to eat them is with dried cranberries and walnuts. I'm a big fan of the sweet and savory combo.
Yeah.
But I think just trying out different ways. You're not always going to like every food, but roasted vegetables, roasted Brussels sprouts taste a lot better than soggy, overcooked, microwaved vegetables.
I totally agree. It's funny you said that. You picked Brussels sprouts because that was the one that I really could not even get past my nose usually. And now I really enjoy them.
Yeah.
We even have roasted frozen ones. And sometimes you can get those little tiny ones and they're so good. And I'm telling you, I used to hate them. I used to try to eat them.
Small, right?
Yeah. It was that bitter taste. I used to try to eat them in front of my children to encourage them to eat them. And they actually make me cry because I hated them so much. But now I really like them. I request them, Right. And a lot of times they're on menus now at restaurants.
I was going to say, there's a lot of different ways. I've seen like maple Brussels sprouts or honey Dijon. There's a lot of different sauces. So I guess trying the different seasonings could help entice people too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to a break right now, a short break. And I just want to remind all of our viewers to put their questions in the chat, and we will get to those a little later in the program. So we'll see you.
Hi, I'm Roger Noyes, Director of Communications for the New York State Office for the Aging. Please visit our YouTube channel today. Like and subscribe, and you'll find all of this great content to support older adults, their caregivers, and people who love them. Please subscribe today.
Thank you. And Maggie, thank you so much for all your tips and tricks.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It was great. And now we're going to have a chance to listen to Nicole Burchard. She's from Field and Fork, and she's going to tell us about a great program that her organization has for our viewers.
Sure. Thank you for having me today. Eating more vegetables and finding affordable ways to do that is really core to what Field and Fork does. We are a New York State nonprofit that is really working to strengthen our local food system. We do that by connecting farmers to new opportunities, families to fresh food, and communities to economic growth. And so I'm here today to talk about Double Up Food Bucks New York, which is a program that we launched in 2014 at 7 farmers markets in Western New York, and now has grown to over 32 counties and 230 locations. It's a free program that's available to anyone who has SNAP benefits. And what it does is it provides a dollar-for-dollar match up to $20 per day that can be spent on fresh produce. The money doesn't expire. It can be banked for future purchases. So we see a lot of people that will use and earn it at the beginning of the month when they get their SNAP benefits and then spend it at the end, when things might be tight. We kind of say, buy one, get one. So essentially anything that you spend with your SNAP card, we will match up to $20 in Double Up Food Bucks. And then that money can go to purchase fresh produce. It's available at farmers markets, farm stands, mobile markets, and grocery stores and corner stores as well. What else is of note? I think to find a location near you, I would say, the best way to do that is to visit doubleupnys.com. It's a very simple process. Most of our locations don't require any kind of sign up. If you were going to a farmer's market, you would simply go up to the market manager tent, ask them for, $10 in SNAP, and then your $10 would become $20 because they would give you $10 in double up bucks that could be spent at the market. We're in the height of growing season. There's so much local produce available now. We really encourage people to take advantage of this free resource that's, helps you stretch your budget. And also you're getting good, fresh local food and supporting your local farmers as well. So we say it's a win-win-win.
Is it a program that's year round, or is it just really?
Yes and no. So at all of our seasonal sites, which are farmers markets and some farm stands, it's available during the market season when the market is open. So from July 1st to October 31st. We do work with a lot of farmers markets that are year round, that have winter markets, and it's year round at our grocery stores, at our mobile markets, corner stores. So that's why I always say, check the website out, because it's going to have the most up-to-date information. It's going to have the hours, so that you don't show up somewhere and for whatever reason it's not open. Yeah, so it's got updated dates and hours and everything for where these double up food bucks are available. Yeah, and in a lot of communities, I mean, you mentioned that you're in the Capital Region. We work on a loyalty card system. So in the Capital Region, you can go to Schenectady Green Market during the growing season, spend your double up, earn it. And then when the market shuts down, it's available at Honest Weight Co-op, and all that money stays on your card and you can use it at Honest Weight and vice versa. So that's another, benefit of the program. Wow, that's great. Yeah, and I saw there are quite a few, like you said, there's quite a few places you can go for double up food bucks. Throughout the state. Capital Roots, which has a pretty robust mobile market, and they source, all of their produce locally, also is a participant in the program. Yeah, and our SNAP-Ed program is statewide. So I saw that you have quite a few in the Erie County region, some in Onondaga, where Maggie's from, all over the state. Some more, it's more concentrated in some areas than others, but I know you're a growing program too. Yeah, we just announced today, we piloted with Tops Friendly Market, 2 locations here in Western New York, but the plan is to roll it out to all of the locations, in the new year. So we're testing the program. It's really exciting. It's our first, large chain grocery store that we're going to work with. And we know that, this is where people are doing the bulk of their shopping. So we want to try and, meet shoppers where they're purchasing their food. That's great. I bet it sounds like an exciting program to you, Maggie, too.
Yes, it does.
It's something that I think all of our educators who provide SNAP-Ed workshops throughout the state will probably be discussing with our participants. So that this is wonderful news for all of us. Yeah, we work pretty closely with most of the regions. Like you said, it's just a natural alignment, right? They're out there talking about different ways to incorporate this food, healthy recipes, and then, we provide the financial resources so that, they don't have to think about it. It's not choosing between one thing or another. You can just go and get the good food. Great. Well, I think we're going to take a little break and then come back, and our viewers can get some of your questions answered. And I also want to mention that we would like you to subscribe to NYSOFA's YouTube channel and our Facebook channel, because that way you stay on top of everything that's connected with NYSOFA and SNAP-Ed. So with that, we'll go to our break, and then we'll be back to answer your questions. Hi, I'm Registered Dietitian Lisbeth Irish from SNAP-Ed New York at the New York State Office for the Aging. SNAP-Ed is a statewide program that teaches people how to shop for and cook healthy meals on a limited budget. Each month, I host a Facebook live stream with guest experts. We offer tips on everything from healthy eating to staying active. Best yet, we answer your questions live. Join me on the second Friday of every month for Ask the Experts, Nutrition Edition. You can also find archived shows on the official NYSOFA YouTube channel. Like and subscribe today. Oh, that kind of explained what I just did. So you got a little repeat going on there. So let's go to some of our questions. Here's one. Is there such a thing as eating too many vegetables? Maggie, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll take that one. So I would say too much of anything is going to be too much. You want to shoot for balance. If you're eating high amounts of vegetables, there's concern for two things. The first would be displacement of other food groups. If you're focusing strictly on vegetables, you might not be getting enough whole grains or fruits, protein foods. And then my other thought is that you can, like we mentioned before, have some issues with your GI. It's gonna, if you go all in way too quickly, your body's not gonna like that. So shooting for the 2.5 cups a day is a good recommendation.
Thank you. That's a very good answer. I totally agree with that. Let's see, do we have another question? Oh, about time of day. Should we eat more vegetables at certain meal times, like breakfast versus lunch or dinner?
Yeah, so again, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Do what you like. So if you're not going to eat vegetables in the morning, don't try and force yourself, but do try and introduce them at other times throughout the day. So if you're going for 5 servings a day, maybe you have a snack between breakfast and lunch, or a snack between lunch and dinner, or just try and sneaky ways to put vegetables in the meals you already have, either throwing veggies and some eggs or spinach in a smoothie. Usually people are pretty good about getting vegetables at lunch and dinner, and breakfast is the tricky one. But yeah, just trying to get them throughout the day. No one time is better than the others.
Great. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, here's a question from Denise Gervais Rock. Good afternoon. I live in Broome County. It's nice to be part of this conversation. My question is about sauteing versus steaming vegetables. I like more flavor.
Yeah, so 2 different cooking methods, sauteing and steaming. If you're sauteing, you could saute with broths, but you could also do oils, which is going to add a little bit of fat in there, just going to add a little bit more flavor. And when you're sauteing, you likely add herbs, spices. So again, you're going to get a little bit more flavor there than just steaming, but that's not to say you can't add spices and herbs to the steamed vegetables after. So I think your question is, which is more flavor? I think mine's it's a vague answer, but it depends on how you season it. Both can have a lot of flavor. It's just a matter of picking your spices and herbs. I think that is the question.
And I think sometimes people think they have to steam vegetables, but it's okay to prepare them different ways. Adding a small amount of oil is not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Sometimes a small amount of oil will make the vegetables a little more satisfying too, because fats take longer to digest.
And with some absorption and different vitamins, fats are good for your body.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes fats get a bad name, but it's all about moderation, not using too much.
Right.
I have a question, even though I'm not supposed to.
You can ask questions. We love questions.
Yeah, well, because I don't know if Denise was sort of alluding to this, and I'm curious, do you lose nutrients in different preparation methods? So is it better to eat a raw vegetable, or really does it depend? Do you get certain nutrients by cooking it? Your body?
I would say it's case by case dependent. So there's certain vegetables that when you cut them, they release different chemicals and you lose different or gain different benefits. depending on. So again, a very vague answer, but it's so dependent on the individual foods that it's hard to give you a solid answer. But in general, you're not going to lose a significant amount of nutrients, vitamins or minerals in different preparations. I think the main concern would be more like deep frying versus steaming. Deep frying is going to have a lot more fats, the bad fats, saturated and trans fats, versus just the slight differences in preparations.
I also think sometimes, when it comes to nutrients, a lot of nutrients are lost when you boil vegetables in a lot of water. That's the way you don't want to make them. That said, you can always save that water and use it as part of your stock if you're making a soup. So a lot of times what happens is the nutrients go into the water. So that's why steaming has been promoted as a good way to cook your vegetables, because you're not using water. It's not, the vegetables nutrients aren't going into the water. But again, you can recycle that water into something, another dish that you're going to make later.
Very good point.
Good question, Nicole. Thanks.
No problem.
And then this another question about kidney disease. So in terms of prevention, if you're a healthy individual, our bodies do a very good job at working. We can detox things on our own. Our kidneys do a good job at filtering through. So to prevent kidney disease, you're definitely going to want to eat just a well-balanced diet. If it was a little bit further and you were in a stage of kidney disease, you would have some different dietary requirements. Protein and potassium and different macro and micronutrients get altered. But if you're a healthy individual, I would say just a well-balanced diet can help prevention. I don't know, Lisbeth, do you have any insight on this as well?
Yeah, I do. It looks, we know that potassium is a great thing for kidney health. And I think what confuses people is that if you have chronic kidney disease in the end stages, you can't have a lot of potassium because your kidneys aren't working well to clear it. But that's a unique situation. We do know that potassium is good for blood pressure, and blood pressure is very important in terms of kidney health. So I'll try to connect the dots a little better. A high potassium diet helps blood pressure stay normal, and normal blood pressure helps prevent kidney disease. And there's only certain times when potassium should be restricted, and that's not most people you talk to. Those are people with end-stage kidney disease. Hope that made sense.
No, that was a nice addition. Thank you.
Let's see, any more questions? Well, I think there was yes, can you address organic vegetables?
Yeah. So when I think of organic vegetables, as many of you might, I think of the cost. There's a lot of different rules and regulations to be organic versus just non-organic, I suppose. And with that comes farmers have to pay fees to label their produce as such. So the cost of organic vegetables tends to be a little bit higher, but also the pesticides used also have to follow a very stricter guidelines. So what would be included in non-organic vegetables might be cut out. I don't know if I'm supposed to go into any more detail. I don't know how involved you want my question or my answer to be. But.
Well, I think that was good. I think there's some vegetables that are more prone to pests, and they probably use more pesticides on those.
Sure.
I always think of, if I was I'm going to switch over to a fruit right now. If I was a strawberry, I'd be a little worried about those pests landing on me. So they tend to use more pesticides with strawberries. Something like, say a zucchini has pretty good skin on it. There might not be as many pesticides on that. kind of, remember they're trying to prevent pest damage. So some fruits and vegetables are more likely to be damaged, and they would be using more pesticides on those usually. But it's kind of, organic is a good thing, but it's better to eat the vegetables than, if you can't afford organic, it's still better to eat the vegetables even if they're not organic. And all the people who do the research on health will, agree with that, from a science standpoint.
I would use this opportunity to plug farmers markets again, because like Maggie alluded to, it can be kind of cost prohibitive for farmers sometimes to go through just the process of becoming an organic farm, but most of them are farming that way anyways.
Right.
So they won't get the certifications, but they aren't using the pesticides on their produce.
It's more in the mass-produced things.
Yeah.
But organic vegetables are becoming more and more available in stores, and the prices come down the more demand there is, and there's been a good demand for organic vegetables. They are becoming more affordable. Let's see, any more questions? I'll just say I hope I didn't confuse people when I was talking about the little bugs landing on the vegetables. I kind of went off on a tangent there. Here's a question: is it better to eat raw vegetables? And that kind of goes to what Maggie was saying, I think. Yeah. I will say my father is 97 and he has a hard time chewing raw vegetables as much as he wants to eat them. They're a little tough for him. So what he does is he microwaves them a little bit just to soften them up. He eats those every night before dinner as his hors d'oeuvre. The fact that he's 97 and still living on his own, kind of an endorsement for doing that. But, yeah. Any other questions? Let's see. I think we got them all. Anything that you'd like to say, Maggie or Nicole, in closing? Anything that you wish you were asked, or?
No, they asked some pretty good questions. We ranged this variety of topics, but just want to say thank you for having me.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you both. We got some really great information today, and I hope everyone will go to New York Connects. We can put that phone number up in the website for Field and Fork and Double Up Food Bucks. New York Connects will help you connect to SNAP-Ed programs throughout the state. Maggie teaches workshops in Onondaga County. We have registered dietitians and nutritionists all over the state doing that type of education. We love to help you save time, money, and eat healthy, and SNAP-Ed has funded this program. We know that the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but if you make small changes and try to make half your plate fruits and vegetables, that's one of the most important changes you can make in your diet. And we'd also like you to check out snapednewyork.org. There's lots of great recipes at that website and lots of tip sheets as well. I hope you'll join us for next month's Ask the Expert Nutrition Edition. The September episode will be on Friday, September 8th at 1 o'clock. And we will have Jaleesa Cabrera and Tamara Elkin, our two incredible nutrition educators from our New York City area, with us for that episode. And we'll be talking about healthy and creative breakfast ideas. And I kind of had a sneak preview of what they're going to talk about, and I'm excited for that. This episode of Ask the Experts was funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which is an equal opportunity provider. Take care and see you next time.